With regard to startups and scale-ups specifically, the role of the NED can offer tremendous value in a number of areas. These include providing independent oversight, leveraged from years, decades of experience in other sectors. Around 20 years ago, when I was first involved in digital business transformation, it was really primarily focused on digitizing and digitalizing rather than digital transformations. That over 80% of digital business transformations fail, and they fail for a number of reasons. We can prevent these failures from taking place and increase the chance of success by ensuring some of the following components.
91% of businesses around the globe are involved in digital activities. 87% of senior businessmen or entrepreneurs they want to take some sort of digital initiatives. And 75% of businesses around the globe have their own websites. This is called digital transformation. And according to a survey, $1.8 trillion will be invested in 2025 in digital market. So this is a reality. But on the other side, we see that 25% of entrepreneurs shut down their businesses in just first 2 years. 45 to 50% of entrepreneurs shut down their businesses in just first 5 years. And almost 75% of entrepreneurs shut down their businesses in just first 10 years. Why this happens? Why? Due to resources or due to digital transformation? All these questions will be addressed in today's podcast because we will be having a digital transformation expert in today's podcast. He is Asif Menghrani. He is working as a non-executive director with multiple companies. With that, he's a part of advisory board member of Jester Advisory AG and advisory board member of Datalinks from last many years. So without any further delay, let's jump into the podcast and discuss what is digital transformation. So ladies and gentlemen, we have Sir Asif Menghrani with us, the non-executive director and board member, advisory member of many companies. Thank you so much for your precious time.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
When I was going through your profile, you have been visiting many countries. You were born in Pakistan. Then, for higher studies, you went to UK, and after that, you have been working in Switzerland from last many years. So, can you tell about your roller coaster journey by yourself?
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Asif Menghrani. I'm a certified non-executive board director with over 30 years of international advisory and consulting experience, specializing in digital business transformations. I live here in Switzerland with my wife and children, but I split my time between Switzerland, London, and the GCC area. And one thing you may not know is I've just finished drafting my first novel, which I hope will be published this year.
Okay, so the kind of multi-talented guy you are. I will jump into the first question. You have been working from last many years. So I want you to tell, can you describe your business and various roles you assume as a founder and you have been part of many things. So I want you for the better understanding of our audience to describe your various roles.
Menghrani GmbH was created in 2011, dedicated to serving both corporates and SMEs through their digital transformation journey. We do this in two ways. Firstly, by advising at board level as independent or non-executive board directors, and secondly, by actually leading the digital business transformations that we create as advisory members of the board. As a founder, you get used to doing everything from making the coffee to defining your purpose, vision, and strategy. And as you expand, you can then insource or outsource additional roles as needed so that you can focus on the growth of the business. It's in this growth area where a NED or a non-executive director can add additional value.
Okay, that's really interesting. So, a non-executive director, a new terminology for me because I'm a learner, I'm learning new things. So, can you tell me what sort of benefits the companies get or startups get when they hire a non-executive director on board?
This is a really good question. And I think specifically with regard to startups and scale-ups, a NED or a non-executive director can add tremendous value in a number of areas. These include providing independent oversight, which has been gained from decades of experience from other sectors, to leveraging the network for both contacts and resources and external expertise where needed, and also for fundraising, and also to help keep the young entrepreneurs on track where they may need additional input, and also provide accountability for the board as well.
Well said and very well explained. So you have a lot of benefits, and you will get a lot of experience from a non-executive director. Digital transformation is a hot topic nowadays, and we have seen that 1.8 trillion dollars will be invested in 2025. It's this is a prediction. So, what is your take on it? And uh, like as an expert of digital transformation, uh, how you're seeing the future of digital world and digital, like we are living in a global village, right? So how you see it?
In order to understand where digital business transformation is today and where it's going tomorrow, we need to do a quick history lesson as to where it came from originally. Around 20 years ago, when I was first involved in digital business transformation, it was really primarily focused on digitizing and digitalizing rather than digital transformation. By that, I mean that the focus was not at the board level, it was at the C-suite. And secondly, it was very much on producing products and services, leveraging e-shops and e-commerce for increasing top line revenue. As time has moved on and companies have evolved, they realized very quickly that it's not enough to just have digitized solutions and products out there on the market. They also need to have an agile organization, which is fast enough in terms of its response to be able to preempt, in best cases, the needs of the market. And they also need a data strategy as well. And I think that's where we are today. So we have this symbiosis of three different aspects. We have an external aspect, which is the creation of digital products, services, and experiences. In the best case, the co-creation, co-production of these products and services. We have an internal aspect, which is the change management of the organization and making sure the organization moves away from hard silos to softer silos, which allow companies to be much more responsive and interactive. And the third is to have data, lots of data organized in a way with a concrete strategy so that it can feed the other two aspects. And it's the harmonization of these three that drive digital business transformation forward. Moving into the future, I see more of that taking place, and it's going to become essential to make sure that organizations evolve internally as fast as the offerings they produce for the market.
Really inspiring things, and I think a lot of people who want to transform their business digitally, they should note down all these important things. uh, Digital transformation is now, like we has, as you said, that it's a hot topic. But uh, whenever you are trying to transform something, you are trying to change something, you face challenges. So you are currently working with multiple companies as a digital transformation expert, as or an ED or non-executive director. So what are the common challenges you faced while on this transformation journey?
It's widely recognized that over 80% of digital business transformations fail, and they fail for a number of reasons. We can prevent these failures from taking place. And the first of these is to ensure that you have long-term commitment from the board in the form of an evangelist who is the driving force of the transformation. It's not enough to have somebody on the C-suite driving that. The accountability needs to be at the board level. And there's a very simple reason for that. Some transformations, especially in larger organizations, can outlive the tenure of a C-suite executive. And so for that reason alone, it's really important that the buy-in comes one level above. Leading on from that, I think the second is ensuring that the accountability is internal and not outsourced to a management consulting company. The third is retaining alignment with the strategy and not being afraid to change or evolve the roadmap as the strategy evolves. Don't forget, some of these transformations are going to last multiple years, in some cases more than 3, 4, 5 years. When that happens, it's not unusual for the strategy to evolve as new opportunities arise in the market. When that happens, the transformation has to reflect that change in strategy. The next thing is to also ensure that you empower your internal teams to be an active player in the transformation by not forcing the transformed state on them, but designing and giving them ownership for some of the transformation itself. Regular training, commitment, and support are essential as part of that. Connected to that, of course, is also managing resistance to change. And additionally, having a robust data strategy with sanitized data that can help with predictive analytics, which feed both your external aspect and your internal aspect.
You have covered the whole aspect, whole scenarios, and I think a lot of people and the young entrepreneurs are learning, and they are like learning new thing about digital transformation. Now we are on the process of digital transformation. Now the stage comes where we need to select the technologies. So how we can make sure that these technologies, like we are living in a digital era, right? We have AI, we have blockchain, we have a lot of things. So how can we make sure that this particular uh, technology will be useful for my business?
I believe that technology should not be the driving force behind a digital business transformation. It should really be your growth strategy. That growth strategy will define what the transformation should look like, and by association, which tools are needed. As I mentioned earlier on, a transformation can take multiple years. And during that time, technologies will come and go. Blockchain is a beautiful example that you mentioned earlier on. And so it's important to try and stay technology agnostic and focus really on your purpose, your vision, and your strategy, and making sure that the transformation fulfills that. And in addition to that, I would also recommend that you choose technologies that you can couple and decouple as your needs change.
Okay, so according to the need, you need to select the technology, and you have to like what sort of business you have. Okay, I have another question which is interlinked with this. Uh, will these technologies will work for larger companies only, like small, medium enterprises? These technologies will not going to work for them.
The approach to your digital business transformation should be driven by the type of transformation rather than the size of the organization. For example, if you want to do a turnaround, the approach you will use will be very different to doing a consolidation or a restructure. All of those are different types of transformations, but they all require a focus that is very different to the other.
Okay, very well said, and I think uh, this makes sense. Now like transformation is going on, we are under the process of transformation. So what are the early signs that which we can indicate, which can indicate us like we are on a right path? It
Mm.
will take time, but we are going really good. So what are the early signs?
We spoke earlier on about creating the digital strategy. And I think one of the earliest signs and one of the clearest signs is having KPIs that are starting to feed into that strategy and are meeting the needs of that strategy. So that's point number one. That's when you know you're on track. The second is that the buy-in from the board is still very high and that they're communicating their commitment and their support for the transformation. And the third is that the involvement from the workforce is very high because they feel involved in the transformation and not just a component that is receiving that transformation.
Okay, like digital transformation cannot be done in overnight, but baby steps will help you a lot. Uh, Digital transformation is like a very time-taking process. Like it can take 1 year, it can take 2 years. But whenever we are trying to change something, you face a resistance, right? So how to manage all those resistances on digital transformation journey? What are your strategies to manage all these things?
Now, this is a really good question. I think resistance to change is a very human thing. We are creatures of habit in general. And there are two approaches to look at how we handle change. One is more proactive, one is more reactive. On the proactive side, as I mentioned earlier on, it's really important to involve the workforce, get them involved in also aspects of the design and aspects of the implementation. Let them even own aspects of the implementation with some supervision from the coordinators. The more involved they are, the more they feel accountable for its success. More importantly, they have details and knowledge on the operational level that the coordinators and the C-suite and the board may not see. And so involving them will provide a richer transformed state. So that's the proactive side. And I think in order to facilitate that, what's really also helpful is to be able to provide the required training for upskilling, to do some backfilling for the more operational roles so that you can free up some of their bandwidth so that they can be actively involved in the transformation. And where needed, pulling in specialized expertise for short periods to provide that support to them so that they can also upskill as they learn as part of the transformation. So that's the proactive side. On the reactive side, there'll always be some resistance to change. And there are mechanisms out there that help us deal with that. The most important thing is to really understand the root cause of that resistance to change, and then to apply the appropriate mechanism to help address that, either to lessen it or even to alleviate it in the best case. However, we also have to be realistic and understand that there may be cases, unfortunately, where a person will not be able to fit into the new organization. You can teach skill sets, but you can't teach mindsets. And where somebody has a fixed mindset, they may not be best suited to a digital organization which requires an agile growth mindset.
Okay, very well said. And I think uh, agile mindset is a key important thing. And people should understand that everything takes time. It's not like everything happens overnight. Like you work and you take notes, and it will going to help you a lot. You should write all these points on your notepad, all the viewers. There are a lot of entrepreneurs who have a lot of queries regarding to strategy building. uh, Being a new person, like I want to start a business, I want to start a new startup. How can I make strategies which can be helpful for my business or my startup? What is your take on it as a consultant, as an NED, non-executive director?
Mhm. I think for companies that are just embarking on their digital business transformation journey, it's really important to make sure you nail down some of the fundamental aspects. Once those are in place, it's very easy to build up beyond that. The first is to articulate your purpose, your vision, and your strategy. Let me go into a little more detail on that. If you don't understand the reason why you exist, how can you articulate where you want to be in 3 years' time, or 2 years' time, or 5 years' time? Those 2 points give you your present and your future. And the gap that's in between is the roadmap you want to build with your strategy. Once you have those 3 aspects in place, you can then go down a level of granularity and actually create the roadmap. And that roadmap is there to help your transformation team deliver the digital business transformation and service the growth strategy. Where a board is not digital ready, hire a NED, and hire a NED who actually brings that digital business transformation experience on board. They can provide you with the required oversight, governance, risk management, and technical skill sets to help drive the transformation forward. As I mentioned earlier on, don't be afraid to periodically revise both the strategy and the transformation roadmap. Some of these transformations do extend over multiple years. And where that's the case, it's really important to be able to be agile enough to evolve the strategy and by association, the roadmap, to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the opportunities that are coming up on the marketplace, be those advantages to do with marketplace changes, economics, geopolitics, technology, or any other aspect. As I mentioned before, involve the workforce. It's super critical, and it can really be a game changer in how well your transformation evolves and develops, and also what the end state will look like. And finally, communicate, communicate, communicate. This is especially important for the board and for the C-suite to make sure that correct communication is being given on a regular basis to the whole company. And especially when there are changes to the original baseline, to help the workforce understand why those changes have taken place and what advantage the new transformed state is going to provide over the old one.
Thank you so much for your golden tips, and I think a lot of young people, because our channel, there are a lot of young people who watch our videos, our podcast, so they will be taking notes. Any final message from your side to aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring people who want to do something in their life, but
Mm.
they're facing a lot of confusion, they're facing a lot of problems. So, what advice you would love to give to them?
Mm. The first thing I'd like to say is that the next generation is the future. I know it's a cliche, but it's so, so true. The power to make change not only within your community, but nowadays with digital throughout the whole world is really in your hands, and you can change it in incredible ways. The only tip that I can give is to really focus on your purpose and understand why you're doing what you're doing. And it shouldn't be just to make money. It should really be to try and create a positive change in the world. And then ask yourself the question, if that's the reason why I want to exist from a company perspective, where do I want to be in the future? And that future can be 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 5 years. And then build a roadmap that takes you from your purpose to your vision. And then go down a level and start building your transformation towards that. And I think that's as true for a startup as it is for an incumbent organization that has been in existence for decades. And maybe on a final note, I'd also like to offer my assistance by saying, please don't hesitate to reach out whenever you have any questions. I think it's super important for people of my generation to give back to the next generation. And I am also an active mentor. I have a number of mentees that I do work with. And although I may not be able to take any more mentees on board, I'm always more than happy to receive a call from young entrepreneurs who may want to discuss a particular topic as part and parcel of their challenge towards growth.
Thank you so much. And I think these are some golden tips. These tips will going to help you a lot. And if you like the podcast, then go leave a comment over here. Do let us know what sort of things you want to watch more. And now it's time to take a leave, and we will going to meet you in the next podcast. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.